The Chinese government has established the world's largest primary education system, with over 10 million college graduates entering society each year. This system has nurtured the most scientists, engineers, doctors, and lawyers in the world. However, beneath these impressive achievements lies a shadow that remains hidden from the public eye: countless unnamed individuals, known as the cost. Their youth and dreams have been sacrificed, serving as the silent cornerstone of this system, as they continue to live dull and desperate lives on the fringes of society. As someone who spent 16 years training within this pressure-driven system, the impact it has had on my life is far deeper than I initially realized. This system did not shape me positively or bring many benefits to my life. Instead, it has become an invisible shackle that I carry. As a rapidly developing industrial nation, China inherited the Soviet Union's specialized education model and designed a unique educational system aimed at keeping the industrial machine running. In this system, individual growth is not important. The goal of education is to produce a sufficient number of machines with specialized knowledge in specific areas. Under this premise, China's education system has become a distorted product that only selects people, not nurtures them. While China has cultivated the world's largest number of researchers, the number of Nobel Prize winners in China is still only 1/30 that of the United States, despite the former's population being 4 times that of the latter. Beyond the field of science, China's cultural soft power lags far behind its East Asian neighbors, such as Japan and South Korea, which share similar cultures. Turning to moral education, what results has this system produced? Nationalism in China has reached its peak since the Cultural Revolution in 1976, and social Darwinism has become a widespread consensus. Surprisingly, those with higher education are more indifferent than before. This education system has not brought more love or change to society. According to the 2022 National Mental Health Survey report, the depression risk for unemployed or jobless young people is as high as 31%, and the depression risk for young people lacking friends or family support is 23.6%. On the surface of these costs lies a manufacturing powerhouse with the most complete industrial system in the world. Thanks to the massive influx of labor into society each year, the labor costs across various industries are significantly lower than those in other developed countries, which is why Chinese manufacturing has been known for being high quality and inexpensive for years. But let's not forget, screws and lubricants don't think. The researchers trained under a system of selective education generally lack innovative abilities. As an industrialized country, China lacks innovation in fields like semiconductors, chips, and artificial intelligence. It even resorts to sending research spies to steal technology from the United States and Europe, then reverse engineers and replicates it. Finally, by using a labor force that costs 1/5 of that in developed countries, it lowers prices and engages in product dumping. Recently, an email from BYD revealed the true nature of cheap Chinese manufacturing. In the email, BYD arrogantly ordered its suppliers to lower the prices of their supplied parts by 10% by January 1, 2025. However, for some suppliers, their gross profit margin might not even reach 5%. Unable to bear this, one of the suppliers exposed the email. Behind BYD's massive automotive empire lies countless small suppliers and cheap labor in sweatshops, struggling on the brink of collapse. If we shift our focus to the humanities, will there be any improvements? Unfortunately, the gap between China's humanities education and that of developed countries is even wider than in the sciences. I hold a bachelor's degree in design, and it's hard to imagine that in the 21st century, universities would still use textbooks from the 1980s and teach students to use software that has been obsolete for nearly a decade, making it a standard for assessments. Without self-learning capabilities, most people would struggle to master any humanities subjects in university. The Chinese government's near-obsessive control over public opinion has suffocated creative freedom. Against this backdrop, the humanities curriculum is flooded with cultural garbage such as Marxism and Mao Zedong thought. As a semi-market economy, China's university education still adheres to a rigid Soviet-style approach, causing universities to be severely disconnected from society. Professors who have never worked in the real world are in charge of guiding students' career development, and the course content has remained unchanged for 20 years. The lack of civic education and logical reasoning in schools has caused China's liberal arts education to lose its direction. Without civic awareness, students fail to approach societal issues from the perspective of citizens and instead become engrossed in the grand illusion of a rising superpower. The absence of logic training prevents an understanding that individuals are the foundation of a nation, allowing nationalism to flourish unchecked in the 2 decades since the dawn of the new century. Years of humanities education have not led to a fairer judiciary or a more transparent government system. Instead, there has been regression. Society has shifted from the widespread openness of the 1980s back to conservatism. Literary education has not produced profound works that influence human thought, but has instead generated a slew of formulaic online literature. In the arts, there has been no significant progress in filmmaking, only mainstream products cloaked in patriotic rhetoric. On China's Q, a platform Jihu, you can still find questions like, why is China's cultural output so weak? I believe, in addition to the government's near-obsessive control over speech, there is also the absence of meaningful humanities education. Because the industrial machine doesn't need a barrel of lubricant that can tell stand-up jokes, over time, lubricant has only one purpose: to reduce wear on parts. I don't know if you've ever visited a foie gras factory. In order to produce the fattest and most delicious foie gras, these factories often use force-feeding techniques, causing each goose's liver to reach over 30% of its body weight. These factories, of course, don't care about the geese's thoughts, or whether they consider the process cruel. China's primary education system closely follows this philosophy. From elementary school onwards, exams take precedence, and student scores are the most important factor in teacher evaluations, creating a pressure-driven system from top to bottom. To achieve better results, school administrators pressure teachers, and teachers, in turn, must pressure the students. In China, high school students wake up at 5:30 a.m. every day and must be ready and in the classroom within 10 minutes. After an hour of reading aloud, they have a 10-minute breakfast break, which includes the time it takes to run from the classroom to the cafeteria. Typically, after breakfast, students must do exercises. And even on the way to the playground, they must run, wasting no time. The morning classes usually start at 7:30 in the morning and end at 12:30 in the afternoon. Within 20 minutes, students must finish lunch and then take a short nap. Afternoon classes begin from 1:30 in the afternoon to 2 o'clock and last until 6 o'clock in the evening. After 6 p.m., students have half an hour for dinner and a shower. To save time, most students shower every 2 or 3 days, or even once a week, and many schools do not allow students to wash their hair, claiming it wastes too much time. Evening classes start at 6:30, generally self-study, and end around 11 o'clock at night. By 11, students must return to their dormitories and go to sleep immediately, or they risk severe warnings or even verbal abuse. This lifestyle continues throughout the 3 years of high school. If you think weekends are for rest, you are mistaken. High school students have no weekends off, and the winter and summer breaks combined last only 2 weeks. The total vacation days for the year do not exceed 20. This continuous, high-intensity study schedule is the norm in China, and in provinces with fierce competition for the college entrance exam, students may only have 1 day off per month. In addition to the prison-like schedule, there are many strict rules that must not be violated. For example, Students must run on the way to the cafeteria and the playground, carry their class notes to memorize, and are not allowed to look in mirrors or glance at the classroom surveillance cameras. At any time, chatting with classmates is forbidden, and students must fall asleep within 10 minutes of getting into bed, among other harsh regulations. The inequality in education largely contributes to this disparity. Students with Beijing Hukou, household registration, have access to modern, high-quality education. They can attend summer camps, choose courses based on their interests, and enjoy pleasant weekends off. In Beijing, there are only 60,000 college entrance exam candidates each year, yet the city has 34 top-tier universities. In stark contrast, there is Henan Province, which has over 1 million candidates each year but only one quality university, Zhengzhou University. The unequal distribution of educational resources means that students from Henan must work much harder to get into universities that would be considered second-rate for Beijing students. This is also true for provinces like Guangdong, Shandong, and Hebei, which have high numbers of college entrance exam candidates. Meanwhile, Beijing, Tianjin, and Shanghai, which hold their own college entrance exams, face only 1/10 of the competition pressure compared to other provinces. Their future is likely to be brighter, as after graduation, they can leverage their hukou advantages to access better social resources and continue to praise the strength of the nation. The college entrance exam, often hailed as the world's fairest system, is the most unfair system of all. It determines the difficulty of the game based on an individual's background, and thus, people with the same abilities can have vastly different fates. Corporal punishment is also common in China's schools. I remember, when I was in middle school, there was one occasion when the teacher gathered all the students who hadn't completed their homework. She took an iron rod and hit everyone on the legs, one by one. By the end, the rod had bent, so she flipped it over and used the bent side to straighten it out. This teacher lacked patience and love, as if failing to complete homework was an unforgivable crime. Although many years have passed, whenever I talk to my classmates about that experience, everyone still feels a sense of unease. As I write these words, the anxiety rises again in my heart, and my mind drifts back to that time. Later, I also became an art teacher. Reflecting on those experiences, I learned to approach my students with love. One of them was an 8-year-old girl with a hearing impairment. I couldn't communicate with her through speech, so I wrote words on paper instead. We got along very well. She was a creative little artist, very bright, and she eagerly looked forward to every lesson. These experiences taught me the importance of patience and love. As a teacher, a careless remark can change a student's life. It made me understand that the purpose of education is always to gain knowledge, not to eliminate the weak. A factory cannot guarantee that every product it produces meets the required standards. Similarly, even the strict Chinese education system cannot ensure that every student will acquire enough knowledge to enter a good university. In Western countries, most people would not view this as a failure, as society is broad enough to provide many opportunities for everyone. However, in China, those seen as failures in education face a very different fate. Most children, after transitioning from middle school to high school, are confronted with a life-altering exam. Due to the Chinese government's regulations, only 50% of middle school students can move on to high school. This is a hard requirement, designed to filter out 50% of students to provide the foundational labor force for the future society. This means that half of the same-age peers will lose the opportunity to obtain a university degree by the age of 15. The other half will undergo the Gaokao, college entrance exam, selection, with 1/10 able to enter top universities, while the rest will be allocated to regular universities or vocational schools. The university they attend largely determines their future salary, social status, access to education and healthcare resources, and social security. Therefore, you should understand that this system, from top to bottom, is filled with the survival of the fittest principles of social Darwinism. The best resources are always given to the best students. Once you lose in this educational game, the next 50 years of life will be destined to be spent in hard, low-paying physical labor. As I mentioned earlier, I hold a degree in design and graduated from a fairly good university. But in my upbringing, my clan has only 2 people, my younger brother and I, with bachelor's degrees. Among all the students of my age, fewer than 20 succeeded in entering a university. The rest of the failures have already walked into a different destiny. They will become taxi drivers, couriers, delivery workers, or assembly line workers. These jobs in China do not offer high salaries, no social security, and their physical toll is far greater than that of office workers. They have neither experienced a carefree youth nor gained enough from education. Perhaps they once dreamed of forming a band, becoming a video blogger like me, or becoming an adventurous expert traveling the world. But they never had the chance to realize their dreams, and they never will. The pressure to survive will strip away all their time. Those fleeting dreams of youth may only be remembered in the grave, and then they will rest in peace with regret. This is the reality for most people in China. Only 5% of the population holds a university degree. The rest, considered by mainstream society to be the bottom, often live lives that go unnoticed and remain in the shadows. But what has my degree brought me? Indeed, compared to them, I can secure a better job, but I still can't afford a house in a big city or buy a car. I may never have the chance to enjoy a relaxing vacation again, because the pressure of life is also starting to take away my sleep. In university, through self-taught English and writing, I saw a broader world. I taught myself more knowledge to open up more possibilities. However, the university did not teach me these things. My degree is more like a factory's quality certificate. In today's Chinese society, where youth unemployment exceeds 15%, it has not given me more opportunities or eased my life's pressures. Sometimes I wonder what the painful selection process has brought us. Everyone has paid their time and effort, yet we have not received the rewards we deserve. Have you ever felt the colorful sky at dusk? In that moment where light and dark meet, there exists a brief afterglow, and a few bright stars begin to appear in the mist. At such moments, everything in life seems insignificant compared to the vast creation of God. I like to write poetry. No one ever taught me how to write. I like to write articles to record my feelings, and no one taught me how to make my writing shine. In my opinion, many things are innate. These gifts from God are enough for us to enjoy for a lifetime. So, life is not a race towards the grave. It has countless possibilities. Even though most people in this educational system cannot understand this, many years later, when they look back on their life's path, they may regret not taking the time to enjoy a sunset on one of their young evenings. Society's machinery doesn't allow them to stop. As a cog tightly bound by family and society, they can only keep turning, even in exhaustion, until they've worn down all their edges. China's education system is a grand tragedy, a disaster that strangles human nature. It molds every unique individual into a mere cog in the struggle for survival, which is absurd in any era. Einstein, aside from his achievements in physics, was also an excellent violinist. Leonardo da Vinci, besides being a painter, was also a scientist and anatomist. They possessed innate talents and used them excellently. In a country that values scientific education above all, those with talents that are not recognized by mainstream society often never have the chance to be seen, simply because they didn't score high enough on an exam during their youth. What awaits them are factories in the south, where they toil day and night on assembly lines, in dim factory buildings and dormitories, with a bleak future ahead. Perhaps no one notices these talents, and no one cares. Fortunately, the internet era occasionally gives a few lucky individuals some opportunities. What all Chinese people should think about is what education has really brought us. Is it the illusory story of national rise and grand historical progress? Or is it the confidence to pursue our dreams as ordinary people? I believe that everyone who has walked out of this system will not be overly grateful for what it has brought. On the contrary, the shackles that education has placed on us will continue to be an obstacle, destroying every precious bit of courage. Thank you for watching this episode of Endless Vision. I also hope you will subscribe to this channel. This is a channel focused on humanities and social topics. If you enjoyed the content, please like this video. It will help increase the weight of YouTube's recommendation for me. See you next time.